Good morning, everyone. There is a feedback which is coming. I don't know where from it is coming. Uh, just a minute.
Yeah, bro.
Hello. Yeah, now the feedback has stopped. However, this is going on. So this is lecture number 3.1 and 3.2. This particular presentation will take possibly 2 hours or more than 2 hours to cover this class. So today we have 1 hour. So tomorrow once again we will get 1 hour and we will cover it. Earlier earlier lecture number 2.3 has been uploaded. So lecture number 2.3 has been uploaded in YouTube. The channel as well as the videos thing has already been shared with you. So next Saturday, let me find out who is trying to join. So coming Saturday, we are going to have quiz number 3. So this would be possibly a 40-minute quiz. So it will start at 9 and continue at to 9:40, and after that I'll take the normal class. So this would be on grinding cycle. The performance of the class in the quiz, in both the quizzes are rather good. The average is very high, which is very good. I hope that you are not solving.
Hello, sir.
Yes,
I think you are muted, sir.
I am
I'm
muted.
not able to.
Okay, let me see. I could be muted. Just a minute.
Hello.
Yes, I am muted. I am sorry. Okay. I'll start again. I'll start once again. I'll start once again. Now I believe you can hear me. So already.
Now we can hear you.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you for reminding me that I was muted. So as I was saying, lecture number 2.3 has already been uploaded in YouTube. The video link as well as the channel link has been shared. Today we are going to cover channel lecture number 3.1 and 3.2 we would be covering tomorrow. Coming Saturday, which is hopefully 3rd of October. If the date is wrong, I'll correct it later on and then post it in Microsoft Teams. So 3rd of October, we will be having a quiz on grinding cycle. It would be primarily numerical. It would be 40 minutes quiz or 30 minutes quiz starting at 9 to 9:40 or 9:30. Once the quiz is over, after 5 minutes break, I'll take the class. So this is what it is. Your performance in the quiz is very good. The average of the class is very nice. Hopefully the performance is individual performance. It is not collaborative. That is up to you. I hope people are not taking help from each other and attempting the quiz on their own. So I'll display the quiz marks for some time. It would be posted very soon. So this one is quiz 1, this one is quiz 2, and this is the percentage in both the quizzes. So if you look at, say for example, Kailash Raja, his
Sir, we can't see the screen.
sorry,
We can't see the screen.
you cannot see the screen. Okay. What is happening with me?
Yes, sir. Now it is visible.
Yes, initially I was speaking without unmuting myself. I was presenting without sharing the screen. Something is wrong with me today. Okay, so this is your quiz 1 performance. This is your quiz 2 performance. Say, let us take the example of Kailash Raja. Are you there, Kailash?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, your performance as it stands today is 69%. So there would be more quizzes. Altogether, there would be 8 or 9 quizzes and 2 assignments. So you have enough scopes to improve. Another example I will take. Let us take the example of Rohitash. Are you there, Rohitash? Rohitash, are you there? If Rohitash is not there, let us take the example of Gajanan. Gajanan, are you there? Is that Gajanan? No, this is Gajanan. Gajanan, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Gajanan's performance is 94% as it stands today, but it has got, it doesn't mean that he will be able to keep it till 94% because there would be 6 more quizzes and 2 more assignments. So those who are at the upper end, they have done very nicely, very good, keep it up. But at the same time, more quizzes and assignments are to come and you have to perform in each one of them. Those who have performed not so great, you have enough scope to improve it. Now, Vipul Kumar, are you there? Vipul
Yes, sir.
Kumar?
Yes, sir, I'm here, sir.
Okay, so you have not appeared in the first quiz. In the second quiz, you have appeared. So if we take, it comes out to be this 47%. How to compensate for this particular quiz? We will try to develop a mechanism, and I will discuss with you through email. Acha, Vinit Malik, are you here? Vinit Malik, are you here? So other than these two, all of you have appeared in quizzes. It is very difficult to repeat quiz. I have repeated it once for 2 individuals. I have forgotten for whom I have repeated. And so second quiz, I am not going to, we have to devise a mechanism. Because I am giving you enough opportunity, if you miss a quiz, it is very difficult to compensate it. Maybe you have to compensate it by some other mechanism that has to evolve. I have not fixed any decision. So let us start the class now.
What are the positions for this week's class test, sir?
You will get to know. You will get to know. Please have patience. You will get to know. So as you can see, this week class test is on grinding cycle. So if someone says, I do not know grinding cycle, you have not taught what is work speed, what is down feed. Yes, the questions are on grinding cycle, but whatever has been covered from the very first class, everything is part of it. Today I do not have a table clock in my room. So whenever it is 9:55, please tell me that it is 9:55. Let us start the class. So today what we are going to do is we are going to talk about a particular module, which is module number 3. So this is module number 3. This is on grinding wheels. Specification, their characteristics, and how are they fabricated. This is a descriptive chapter. This chapter, whatever I am covering in the class, the same material is available in Malkin's book. Try to get a digital copy of Malkin's book, you will get to know. Now, this is a specification of a grinding wheel. As we know, grinding wheel is made up of abrasive and bond, and they are fired, that is they are, I should not say baked or sintered, but the technical term which is used is fired, and then you get a grinding wheel. This is a disc type grinding wheel which is used in surface grinding, and in this you have the grits on them, and these grits are bonded to the grinding wheel to a bond, and this is the specification of a grinding wheel, which is a conventional grinding wheel. This is a specification of a conventional grinding wheel. What do you mean by conventional grinding wheel? The grits which are used, they are either alumina or silicon carbide. Other than conventional grinding wheel, there is another group of grinding wheel which are called super abrasive grinding wheel. The specification system for super abrasive grinding wheel is bit different. A grinding wheel is called super abrasive grinding wheel provided the grits used are diamond or cubic boron nitride. I believe I have already indicated that. Otherwise, at undergraduate level also you have learned this. Now, this specification system reported in different books are different. However, specification given from this end till this particular end is universal. This prefix and this manufacturer's ID may be there, may not be there. Unfortunately, this prefix spelling is wrong. This has been copied from Malkin's book, but however, somehow there is a typographical mistake in Malkin's book. I cannot help it. So what is there? It talks about what is the abrasive type, what is the abrasive size, what is the grade, which is, there is another technical term for that, which is hardness, what is the structure of the wheel, and what kind of bond has been used. Other two things, that is the prefix and manufacturing record, you forget it. You can read that from the book. I would cover only these types. So let us see what are they. So there are different kinds of abrasives, as I said. So abrasives are alumina, A for alumina, C for silicon carbide. These are the two conventional grits, B for cubic boron nitride and D for diamond. This is a coincidence that ABCD comes in strangely in the specification of the abrasive wheels. So abrasive type, that what is the material of the abrasive, is the first alphabetical letter which is used. Here it is A, so it is aluminium oxide. Had it been C, it would have been silicon carbide. Had it been B, it would have been CBN, but other specification would have been different. Had it been D, it would have been diamond. The next thing that we can control is what is the size of the abrasive. We have talked for a good amount of time that we cannot control the specific geometry of the abrasive. How much rectangle would it pose? Would it be octahedral in shape? Would it be pyramidal in shape? They are irregular in shape. Despite that, we can control their size. Before going into size, let us have a look at what are the different kinds of grinding wheel. Typically, this is an alumina grinding wheel. This is a silicon carbide grinding wheel. Alumina grinding wheels are white in color. Silicon carbide are having this color. However, there is another group of alumina grinding wheel which is not exactly white. Okay. Now these are this type wheel. These are disc type wheel which are used for surface grinding operation. So these are disc type wheel which are used for primarily surface grinding operation. This type wheel can also be used for cylindrical grinding, centerless grinding operation. For surface grinding operation, typical diameter is 150 to 250 millimeter. That is the typical diameter. For cylindrical grinding, it is much more larger. I do not understand why am I getting a request all the time. Is someone joining and what is happening? So this is a single layer wheel. This is a single layer CBN wheel. This is having a diameter of 125 millimeter, whereas this is a CBN wheel single layer. This is a small wheel having a diameter of 15 millimeter. So as you can understand, such a wheel would be used for internal grinding operation. This is CBN grids. These are CBN grids which are rather irregular in shape. These are diamond grids. They do have some amount of regularity, but if you compare these grids with these grids, both of them, they have a basic minimum size. As you can see here, this is the basic minimum size. So if I encircle it, this is the basic minimum size. So what I can control is the basic minimum size. As far as alumina grids are concerned, they are much more irregular. They are kind of elongated rather than roundish. So silicon carbide grids, I could not get an image, so I could not show it to you, but they are also very similar to alumina wheel kind of thing. Other than these specification, another very important specification is that what is the shape of the grinding wheel, what is its diameter, what is its internal diameter. Those are required for choosing the grinding wheel as well. Now let us go to the next slide. Now this is how do they look like on the grinding wheel itself. As you can see, this is one particular grid, this is another grid. They are very close together. This is a small wheel of CBN. If you look at diamond, here grids are sitting almost side by side, but the distance between these two grids is more than distance between these grids. What it means? Distribution is not also in your hand. You cannot control the distribution of the grid at the microscopic level. At a macroscopic level, yes, you can control, but at microscopic level, you cannot. Say for example, there is lot of void space here. There is lot of void space here. There is lot of void space here. Here also there is lot of void space, but they are not equally distributed. Same is the thing in case of alumina wheel. It is not so easily seen. However, look at this particular one. This is a monolayer diamond wheel which has been fabricated using a technique which is called brazing. It is a vacuum brazed wheel. Here the grids are equispaced from one another. If you look, almost as if they are on a equispaced rhomboidal shape kind of thing. So in some of the manufacturing processes of grinding wheel, it is possible to equally distribute the grids, but in most of them, say for example, this is a standard alumina wheel, this is a standard diamond wheel, this is a standard CBN wheel. It is very difficult to control their distribution at microscopic level. Now let us come to the specification of the the grid size specification. For that we need to go back. Here the abrasive grain size, they are specified by a number. One such number is 36. This number can be 600. This number can be 100. What does it mean? It is basically the mesh number. What do you mean? It means there is a mesh or a sheave, and if the mesh number is 100, it means this is one opening, this is another opening, this is another opening, this is another opening. There are 100 openings per inch. Inch means 25.4 millimeter per linear inch, not square inch, per linear inch. So if you take a sheave, with sheave you can sheave certain things. Say for example, at times you will see in the kitchen we people sheave atta so that we segregate any dust particle which are present. So it is something like a sheave, and there are openings and there are 100 openings. If the mesh size is 36, then there are 36 openings. From this you may be tempted to say the average grid size is 25.4 divided by m. because if there are 100, it is 100, so it is 25.4 divided by 100, so that will come out to be around 250 micron. But if you use this approach, you are wrong. Why are you wrong? I'll try to explain that. These sheaves are not virtual. These are physical sheaves which you can hold in your hand or you can put in a vibrator so that you can control the sheaving process. These sheaves are made of stainless steel. So if this is a part of the sheave, this is a stainless steel wire, this is another stainless steel wire, on the other side this is one stainless steel wire, here you have another stainless steel wire. So these are stainless steel wires. They are not lines, they are physical wire having a diameter, because of which they eat up some amount of space. As they eat up some amount of space, your DG is no longer 25.4 by m. It is no longer this, rather it is equal to 15.2 divided by m in millimeter. If you go to micron, it would become 15,200 divided by mesh number. So this is the formula that you have to remember. That means as your mesh number increases, your DG becomes, that is average grid size, becomes finer and finer. In our grid specification, we use mesh number rather than the size of the grid in micron. So if this becomes, instead of 36, it becomes 100, it becomes finer. Instead of 100, if it becomes 240, it becomes even finer. The average size of the grid becomes finer. Now, next one is another thing which is called, I will not discuss this hardness for the time being. I'll go to structure number. What structure number specifies? So next one that we are going to discuss is structure number. Typically, structure number is specified by S, and structure number physically it specifies the percentage of void space.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, Shiva Shankar is waiting to join. Can you please add?
What is he doing? He is joining, he is going out.
Sir, actually he was disconnected.
But if he gets disconnected, he can join without my permission. I do not know how he is trying to join. Fine. So I have admitted him. So structure number is basically physically showing the percentage of void space, or it can also physically characterize inter-grid space. That means how much is the space between two grids. This is what it specifies. If you have more void, it is called a open wheel. If you have less void, it is called a closed wheel. What are the number S can assume? S can assume number between 1 to 15. So this is a S can assume a number between 1 to 15. If it is 15, 16, 14, that means there is lot of void space. If it is 2, 3, 4, 5 in that range, it is rather closed. It is not coarse. This is wrong once again. It is closed. It's a closed wheel. It is a open wheel. Malkin's book, it seems second edition is having lot of typographical mistake. Okay, so this is a closed wheel. This is a open wheel. So this is what is the structure number. So structure number, as I said, talks about how much void space do you have. So it also indirectly finds out or affects what is the volume fraction of grit present. Why? How can it affect? Because there are three phases. There are three phases in a grinding wheel. What are they? You have grit, you have void space or porosity, and you have bond material. So these are the things, and they have their own volume percentage. So Vg is the volume fraction of grit, Vb is volume fraction of bond, and Vp is the volume fraction of porosity of void. In Malkin's second edition, this Vg at times has been written as Vs. That is wrong. It should be Vg. Now, there is an empirical relation which says that Vg equal to 2 minus 32 minus S. So, if your structure number increases, as we know, it is more open wheel, so possibly your Vg will go down. If your structure number reduces, it is a more closed wheel, so closed wheel and Vg will go up. So if you use this equation, this empirical equation, then you would be able to find out whether that is correct or not. So let us do a small calculation and we would be able to see. So let us take that example which has been given in Malkin's book, which is 5. 5 is a moderately closed wheel. From that list that we have written, this is moderately closed wheel. So if you put Vg, it is 2 times 32 minus 5. So 32 minus 5 is how much? It is 27. So it is 54% of grit is there. If you take another wheel which is say 12, which is rather as per the description is a open wheel, so Vg would be 2 into 32 minus 12, which is 2 into 20, which is 40%. So our conclusion is that as structure number increases, it becomes an open wheel, you have more void space, and Vg, which is percentage volume fraction. What is Vg? It is volume fraction or percentage volume of grits, that will go down. So this is the basics of structure. Another very important thing that we remember, structure number, sorry, this symbol is not required. Structure number basically characterizes the void space or how much is the intergrit space or how much is the porosity in the wheel. Where can you see void space? Here you have void space. Though there is a grit here, forget about that. Here you have void space. 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 So it is characterizing at a macro level how much void space is there. How much is intergrit space? This much is intergrit space. So this is also characterizing at the macroscopic level. Can it characterize at microscopic level? Yes, provided you have a wheel like this where the grits are distributed in a much more better manner. As you can see here, the intergrit space is huge. There is lot of intergrit space. So this structure number is much larger. We will come to that later on, but I hope you have understood the basic concept of structure number, grit material and grit size. Now let us come to something which is hardness. In our example, hardness has been taken as L. What is this hardness? Hardness is also called grade. So this is hardness. From hardness, we talk about a wheel which is soft or which is hard. From structure number, we talk about a wheel being open or closed. From hardness, we talk about a wheel being soft or hard. What physically it specifies? Physically, hardness or grade of the wheel characterizes bond strength. It has got this hardness of a grinding wheel has no relation to hardness as we know. So it has got no relation with hardness. It is not related to Brinell hardness number. It is not related to Vickers hardness number. It is not related to Knoop hardness number. None of them. Typically when we say hardness, it is resistance of a work material to indentation or scratching. But the concept of hardness for grinding wheel is not like this. What is the concept of hardness? What is the bond strength? How strongly or weakly a grit is bonded to the grinding wheel. Let us go back to one particular one. So here you have grits. Here you have lot of grits. I do not know. Laser pointer. Okay. So here you have a grit. Here you have a grit. Here you have a grit. Here also you have a grit. Okay. So how much force you have to apply on this grit to dislodge it from its bond? This is the substrate. This is the bond material. Okay. Let me use a color. Okay. So this part is substrate. This is the bond. And this is the grit. So how much force you have to apply on the grit to dislodge it? So let us go back to this particular thing. So if you have a grit like this, and this is your substrate, and this is the bond material which is holding the grit in its place. How much force you have to apply to dislodge it? If you have to apply lot of force, that means bond strength is high, and the wheel, in that case we will be talking about a hard wheel. So wheel hardness is more, or it is a hard wheel. If it is a hard wheel, possibly it would have a number like T or U. If it is a soft wheel, it would have a number like G and H. In our example, we are using a wheel which is L, which is a soft wheel. That means if you are using which is a medium wheel. If you are using a D wheel, it takes less amount of grinding force to dislodge the grit from the bond. So as if I am giving a social example, as if I have become very old, 80 years old, hopefully I live that long, and I have gone to the dentist, and the dentist simply pulls out my teeth. And if you go now, the dentist has to put lot of effort. So something like a soft wheel, the force required to dislodge the grit, and a hard wheel, force required to dislodge a grit wheel is much more higher. So if you are using a softer wheel during grinding, when grinding force is large, then there is a chance of grit being dislodged because of the grinding force. If you are using a harder wheel, then it would not work. You might ask, then always we should use harder wheel. This we will discuss later on, maybe in the next class. Now, let us go to the bond system. So if we go back to this particular slide, already we have talked about abrasives, we have talked about size, we have talked about hardness, we have talked about structure. So only thing which is left out is bond system. If you open up any undergraduate level book or Malkin's book, that means undergraduate level books means Kalpakian or Degarmo or Malkin's book, you will see a huge list of bonds. All of these are no longer used. So this resinoid bond is very popular in the industry. Vitrified bond is very popular in the industry. Another one is rather popular, which is metal bonded wheel and monolayer wheels that we will discuss later on. They are also becoming very, very popular. Rubber bonded wheel we have already discussed. There is a purpose for this. Rubber bonded wheels are used wherever you require a lot of stiffness, that is lateral stiffness. Other than that, rubber bonded wheels are used for as a regulating wheel. Where is it used? Centerless grinding. So there it is used. So we will mainly discuss about resinoid bonding and vitrified bonding. At the end of the course, we will talk about monolayer bonding. Metal bonding still being very popular. I will not go it. If those who are interested, they can go through the book. Vitrified bonding. So let us talk about vitrified bonding. It is a kind of ceramic bond. So what you do? You take some ceramic material, you take your abrasive, you take your organic binder like dextrine. So abrasives are, these are your abrasives and this is your ceramic material, feldspar, clay and frit. What is frit? Frit is this one. It is soda glass, silica, boron oxide and fluxes. These are basically whatever is left out in a glass furnace, glass making furnace. So in the glass making furnace, whatever is left out, that is called frit. Feldspar is nothing but potassium, calcium, sodium, aluminium, silicon oxide. So it is KXALY, silicon Z and OA, something of this kind of thing. So feldspar is of this combination. So it is basically a low melting ceramic. With that you add your abrasive. What kind of abrasive? You add aluminium oxide. How much abrasive has to be added? That we will address later on. And you add some organic binder so that when you mix them, they become like a dough for making our chapati or paranthas. So that kind of dough, not that kind of consistency. It is much more like a paste so that it can flow. Once you have done that milling, you come to this stage. From this stage, you have to mold. Molding means it is a molding process. So if you are making a disc type grinding wheel, then there would be a core and there would be a mold. In that you have to pour that particular mixture and then you have to fire it. Basically firing is a sintering process, but we will not we will not call it as a sintering process. We will call it as a firing process. It is a traveling furnace. Once again, the furnace word is not used, clean is used, and the temperature is 950 to 1400. If you have more frit, the melting temperature would be less. Typically, even for 200 millimeter grinding wheel, only one would not be fired. Possibly 1000 would be fired in a single batch. It would take 1 to 2 days to reach the temperature. Say your temperature you have specified is 1250 degrees centigrade. Then you have to hold it for homogenization of the temperature. And the cooling period can be as long as 1 to 2 weeks for larger wheels, not for 200 millimeter wheels, but say 450 millimeter wheels which are used in cylindrical grinding operation. They can be 1 to 2 weeks. Because this being a ceramic bond, if you cool it very fast, there would be bond fracture. So after this, what would happen? This is alumina grit. This is alumina grit. This is alumina grit. Ceramic bond will form here. These are bond, and in this way the wheel would be constructed. So if you look at the wheel at a microscopic level, this is say a ceramic of 150 micron. So in that the grits, that is the alumina grits, they would be bonded together by this ceramic bond post. Where from this bond will come? This will come from this feldspar, clay and frit. What is the purpose of organic binder? Organic binder is required so that you can bind them together. If I give you sand and ask you to give me a cake out of it, you would not be able to do it. You have to put some organic binder in the sand, then only you would be able to find make a cake. Similarly, here also a organic binder 5 to 6% is added so that you can give it a form, give it a paste like consistency which can be molded. So it goes through a molding process. The most important thing that you have to understand is that temperature during the firing process is high, and ultimately the bond is a ceramic bond. And if you have a ceramic cup or a ceramic saucer in your hand, and if you are having tea, if you drop it, it will break. These ceramic materials are brittle. So this ceramic bond would also be brittle in case of vitrified grinding wheel. This is wrong. This is not vitrified. This is resinoid. Resinoid bonding wheels are phenolic resin, plasticizer plus abrasive. What are phenolic resin? We have all heard of Araldite. So Araldite we have used if we have broken something. Then typically if you open up a Araldite container, a pouch, there would be two pastes or two applicators. One is the resin, another one is the hardener or plasticizer. So they would be added not in equal proportion. That would be specified by what kind of plasticizer you are using, and then you add abrasives. There is no need to add a binder because this itself will act like a binder. Once you have done that, you do the milling process. This is not face milling, end milling kind of milling. This milling means mixing it like a cement mixture kind of thing, like our small mixie in our kitchen. Not so high speed, but you mix them together. Once you mix them together, once again you come to A, then the same process molding, and then you bake. We do not call it a sintering process. We do not call it a firing process. We bake it like a cake. Why? Because the baking temperature is much less, 150 to 200 degrees centigrade. So from this, what is our takeaway? There are two popular bond systems. One is vitrified, one is resinoid. Vitrified bond is a ceramic bond which takes place at a rather high temperature of around 1200 degrees centigrade. Resinoid bond is a thermosetting resin based bond which takes place at 150 to 200 degrees centigrade. So this is our takeaway. With that, we have explained all of them together. Hardness, structure number, bond, everything put together. So if there is a specification like this, it means this is a silicon carbide wheel which is vitrified bonded. That means possibly the bonding has taken place at 1250 degrees centigrade. This mesh size is 100. So DG is roughly 150 micron. Why is it 150 micron? Because DG was this. This is having a open structure wheel. That means porosity is, lot of porosity would be there. Intergrid space is high. Hardness is moderate. So this is not so very hard wheel, not so soft wheel. So you would require, the grit would be able to resist some amount of force before it is dislodged from the bond. So this is the interpretation of specification of a conventional grinding wheel. So let us go back where we left out. So this is a super abrasive wheel. So what is this? This is a super abrasive wheel. How is it different? Abrasive type is there, it was there. Abrasive size is there, it was there. Hardness was there, it is still there here. Bond type is there, bond type was also there. These are extra information which may be available, may not be available. This prefix is also an extra information which may be available, may not be available. These are essential information which are here. So what is not matching? There is one thing which is not matching. Let us find out what is it. So you have something which is replacing the structure number, that is called concentration. So what concentration is replacing? It is replacing the structure number. So that we have to discuss in detail. Rest of the thing are same, almost 1:1. Not almost, they are 1:1. Now we would be using mesh size. That means if we write a specification like this is a ceramic CBN wheel having a moderate hardness which is resinoid bonded. We do not know what is the structure number. We will come to that later on. And this is the mesh size. That means your DG would be 152 micron. However, in Europe, they would rather, for super abrasive wheel, they would rather say this is a B151. This example is for diamond. I am giving an example for ceramic. So if it is a European specification, this 151 would correspond to mesh, not mesh size, but grit size. For our course, whenever a grinding wheel is specified, it is always mesh size. This you remember. Please do not make any mistake while solving problem. For our course, we will be using mesh size as the specification. We will not use the grit size specification or FEPA designation. We will not use European designation. We will not use. We will use American or British designation for our course. Now let us get some properties of the material. One very interesting thing, I do not know whether they have given here or not. They have talked about crystal structure. They have talked about density. Strangely, all densities are very similar. So they are 3.5 to 4 in that particular range. Now Knoop hardness is the hardness of the abrasive. So aluminum oxide is the softest one. Silicon carbide is bit harder. This is hardness of the abrasive. Nothing to do with the hardness of the abrasive grinding wheel. This is CBN, almost twice of conventional abrasives, and this is diamond, which is almost 3 to 3.5 times. So diamond is the hardest. So it is expected it would be the most wear resistant. CBN is also very hard. So it would also be much more wear resistance as compared to alumina or silicon carbide wheel. So they can be used much more aggressively. They can be used much more aggressively, as you can understand by looking at the basic material property. Now there is something called friability index. I'll come back to friability index in the next class. Concentration also I'll come back later on. So I'll stop the class here today. I'll take the attendance, and while I am taking the attendance, you can look at your performance. So Vinit, Shivashankar,
Present, sir. Present, sir.
okay. Kailash,
Present, sir.
Vipul,
Yes, sir.
Harsh,
Present, sir.
Arpit,
Present, sir.
Shantanu,
Present, sir.
Ashok,
Present, sir.
Ankit,
Present, sir.
Anup Kumar Singh,
Present, sir.
Muralidhar,
Present, sir.
okay. Ritesh,
Yes, sir. Present.
Girish.
Present, sir.
After giving your attendance, please mute yourself. Gajanan, Where is Gajanan? Gajanan! Durganand? Durganand?
Present, sir.
Rohitas? Sharjil?
Present, sir.
Gajanan? Has he gone to sleep? So should I write sleeping? Okay, so this is the marks that you have obtained, and you can see what others have obtained. So if you would like to look at how they have solved, so now you can collaborate. We are all working in the collaborative mode. So those who have got 100 or more marks, you can talk to them and ask them to share their solution. Now I would like to interact with Muralidhar for some time. Muralidhar, where are you? Can you unmute yourself?
Yes, sir.
What I have seen is that yourself and there was one more student whose name I cannot recall now. You people submitted within 10 to 15 seconds. How could you do that?
Sir, within?
Whenever you log into the system for appearing in the quiz and whenever you submit, timestamps are recorded by Microsoft servers. So if I look at the Microsoft server timestamp, I see that you logged in at around 10:15 or so and submitted within 15 seconds. So I would like to know how are you appearing. I am not putting any apprehension on how you are appearing. Maybe there is a network problem. I would like to learn that.
Sir, I tried to join at 10:01, sir.
Okay, 10:01. So why did you join at 10:01?
So sorry, sir.
No. There is, please try to understand. You can appear in whichever way you want. I want to know how you people are appearing. Had I been in your position, I would have appeared online. I do not know whether the whole question paper is being shown to you or not. Is that happening?
Sir, whole question paper is showed, sir.
Okay, whole question paper is shown. So those who are on poor kind of network connectivity, they can possibly take a screenshot, then figure out what are the answers and then dump it. This is not a good technique, but if you have network problem, whatever way you can appear, that is fine with me.
Present.
Someone was trying to talk. Yes. Who was it? Gajanan? Okay. So whichever way you would like to appear in the examination, I have no problem. But had I been in your position, I would have appeared online. I would have looked at a particular problem. If it is a numerical problem, solved it, and then I have chosen a particular MCQ option or I have given my numerical thing.
Present, sir.
Who is speaking? Please unmute yourself. Who is it? I cannot hear you, Gajanan. Please put your mic at least 5-6 inches away from you and after that you talk. Gajanan, is there any issue? Okay. Thank you so much. So all of you have seen your marks. I'll post. If you have seen it, there is no need to post it. You can take a screenshot. I have kept it for a long time, so you can always take a screenshot. So no issue. So thank you so much. I am closing the class today here. So tomorrow once again we are meeting at 12 o'clock. Hopefully we will be getting enough time to complete module number 3, which is specification, fabrication and characteristics of a grinding wheel. And as I said, this is a descriptive chapter. What is it, Gajanan? If you have something to say, please come clear.
So I think he is having network issue.
If someone,
My network problem.
you have a network problem.
Due to that, I was not able to give attendance. Sir, network issue.
but I have given you attendance. Hopefully you will share this video. I'll upload the video today by evening, so you can go through it if you have a network issue. And if you have network issues, try to resolve it, try to get a better connection, because this is not the only class you are attending. You are attending 5 to 6, 5 subjects. So if you continue to have network issues, there would be problem. And this being a continuous evaluation, quizzes are taking left and right. Each and every day you are appearing in quizzes. So you should have a good network, whatever is available in your locality. Okay. Thank you so much.